You've got to have life first, because without life, you can't have liberty. And without liberty, it's almost impossible to pursue happiness, isn't it? Because liberty comes from our Creator. Life is created by our Creator, not anybody else. So when we look at where we are right now, we've got to understand that there are people out there, and I honestly believe I think it's important to know that these people are ready to destroy the very freedoms that we love and we enjoy. So when I look around and see at the 912 groups, I helped start the Tea Party group over in Clay County several years ago, and it's growing. In fact, we have Senator Davis over there speaking at it tonight as I speak. And it's growing. But what happened was we finally had enough. We finally had enough. Somebody asked me the other day, and I was joking when we were talking. They said, well, Kenny, who is the father of the Tea Party? Who is the father of the 912? I said, well, it's easy. It's Barack Obama. Because without this man, it would have never come to pass. He had to sit up here and do something so dastardly that it boiled the flames of enthusiasm in each and every loving Christian American in this country to say, enough's enough. The line's been drawn in the sand. So is he the father of the Tea Party? He can take credit for it. He might not like it, but he's the daddy of it. Now, I know we don't ever want to claim that. But if you ever get in a debate with one of these progressives, tell them, well, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. She'd be thinking. Because that's the honest to goodness truth. Because he managed to manifest in 2 years a cancer that was boiling in this country that's not been there that we've not seen in a long time. The last time this country was in such dire straits was in the early 80s. Anybody remember a guy named Jimmy Carter? God bless him. I tell everybody Barack Obama's his shadow. And I'll tell you why. It's because they've got the same progressive mentality. The same progressive mentality. They believe that government is the solution. What did Ronald Wilson Reagan say? The greatest president in my lifetime. He said, government's not the solution. They're what? The problem. And it's the same today. But I think a lot of people forget that when he came into office, we were in despair. Anybody that's older understood that. We had 21.5% prime interest rate. 21.5%. People forget that. They want you to forget it. We had 13.5% inflation rate. You know why? Because back then they counted the gas and the food in the equation of inflation. In 2006 they took it out. It's an amazing occurrence, isn't it? An amazing when they don't want you to know the truth. And then all of a sudden what happened? We had unemployment rate of just over 10.5% then. But what Reagan came in and said, and he showed us, was belief. He gave us something that we've not had. And I'll tell you, that's where we are now, but I'm starting to see it again with the Tea Party groups. I'm starting to see it again with people taking a stand. You know, it's easy to sit up here and just get along. It takes leadership to take a stand. It does not take knowledge. I honestly believe that knowledge got us into the very problem we have right now, and it's going to take leadership and prayer, or prayer and leadership, to get us out of this problem. And when we do that, then we'll understand what Ronald Reagan meant with his belief. We'll understand that he gave us something that basically we forgot about. I tell everybody, you know, when I was born in this world 2 things in my life. My mother will tell you 3. But I was born 2 things. Number 1, I was born in this world a sinner. Second, I was born in this world an American. My mother will say you was also Shirley West boy. Well, and I'm still Shirley West boy. She don't let me forget it, especially when she wants something done around her and Daddy's house. And I'm still Shirley West boy. But I made 2 choices early on in life. When I was 16 years old, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I reaffirmed it when I got married, a week before I got married. So I'll tell you, He has blessed me throughout this life. Has there been challenges? Yes, but they didn't become problems. They were just challenges. Without Him, they would have been problems. That's the way I look at life. So I'm not going to preach. That's the end of that. But I will tell you this. Then, when I went to vote the very first time, I registered as a Republican. There's a reason why. Not because they don't make mistakes. And I understand what you said a while ago about both Republicans and Democrats. They voted this way. Then kick them out. The Constitution says we the people. It does not say we the government, federal, state, local, or city. It says we the people. We are a living document. So when you see people do these kind of things, you remind them that they work for you. And we have to do that sometimes in a hard way. And it's in their face. So you don't have to come here and just sit down in here and do it. But when I came up and I voted, and I registered as a Republican, been one all my life, it was because of their principles. Now, this is not a GOP meeting, so I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm just telling you where I am. It was their principles. It was their moral principles. That's why I registered as a Republican. It's not because Democrats are bad. It's not because Republicans are good or Republicans are bad. It's got nothing to do with that. I look at the principles. And when I heard Ronald Reagan talk about the principles, I believed in it. So where are we today? I can tell you there's a light. I guess 2.5 years ago, I don't think that light, it was so dim. In fact, many of us thought it was shut off. Many of us thought that. Then when we saw what was happening with Pelosi and her crew, along with our illustrious representative in the 11th District, who some of y'all in the Mitchell is fixing to be introduced to him, and y'all have got such a pleasure. He's short. He's like water in waves. You can tell he's out there only when somebody throws a pebble in the water, and then you see him ripple every once in a while. Other than that, he's nothing more than just a pond. Now, that's my talk on him. But I will tell you that this country is too precious. This country is just too precious. I could not be up here without the First Amendment. I could not be up here to gather. Y'all could not be in here to gather and listen to people like Marvin, to listen to people like Peter. Y'all could not sit up here and gather in a public forum like this without persecution. Because we threw those tyrants out some 236, 237 years ago. We made sure this would never happen again. We declared it. We signed the Declaration July 4, 1776. They started writing it June the 7th. And it was signed by 56 honorable men. Honorable men, where 52 of them were Christians. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then the Constitution. Nobody knows exactly how long, but the Constitution was formed years later. And it gave us our Bill of Rights. And it gave us the ability to sit down here if we want to. And we can sit up here and we can pray if we want to. We can worship any God we want to. Or we don't have to worship a God we want to. And if we don't want to sit up here and say the Pledge of Allegiance, we don't have to. But if we want to, we can. That's who this country's all about. It's not about any king. It's not about any dictator, which Barack Obama thinks he is. And we saw last night that he realized that the people's representative says you're not going to do it again next week. And he sort of got shut down. But I think Sean Hannity had a lot to do with that. But he's one of my favorites, by the way. I like listening to him. He's like a pit. Who likes Sean Hannity? I've met the man before. He's like a pit bull in real life too. He's an amazing man. But I will tell you this. People like yourself, don't think there's nothing you can't do. Don't think there's nothing you can't do, because without faith, you don't have belief. And if we don't have belief, our children, who are our legacy, don't have a chance. My children, right now to this day, who I would give my life for. My wife, I would give my life and last breath for. My children are not going to have the same purpose. They're not going to have the same choices in life if we don't draw a line in the sand. They're not going to have this choice. And it's got nothing to do with who knows what the most. We've got too many people in Washington or wanting to go to Washington because they're smart. They're smart. Oh, I've met so many smart people. There's another word at the end of the word smart, but I'm not going to use it because there's ladies present. But they are smart. But I will tell you this. Knowledge is not the problem. Leadership is the problem. Character is the problem. You know, Armstrong Williams said one time, he said, character is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. It's hard to do the right thing. But guess what? You're blessed by doing the right thing. You're blessed. So my friend, you're going to be blessed. I don't know what's going to come of it, but it won't stand. It won't stand. But you know why? Because I have belief that it can't stand. You've got to have belief that tomorrow's another day. I learned that from Ronald Reagan. I learned that when our soldiers and our army got killed over there trying to rescue the hostages in Iran. And when he came into office, they can say what they want to, but they knew that this man carried a big stick. And he was getting ready to use it. And they said, well, I don't want to fight with it. I don't want to fight. So it's not important. It's not important, because I'm telling you, Jimmy Carter, if you read a little bit about him, he was a very smart man. But Jimmy Carter was not a person that believed that people had the right to do what they wanted to, because this nation was made up of we the people, not we the government. This is we the people. This is who we are. This is what we do in life.